I'm not professing to be a scientist. Neither is Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind is professing to be a science teacher.
You serious?
Hello.
Hello!
This is Creaky Blinder.
Creaky Blinder.
My name is Russ, and as you can see, I am sitting in front of my movie corner. I have my God the Father t-shirt on, my Gospel of John movie right next to me, and judging by the frame around me, we are back taking down another atheist.
Oh, Russ, you've really struck fear into my heart. Normally, I'm the one doing the taking down, not the one getting taken to comedy school. My viewers know I've got a PhD in reactology. That's right, I love to react to people reacting to me, reacting to people. Like Kent Hovind. Confused? You will be. Let's go. Please subscribe.
This time on the chopping block, this is Creaky Blinder.
Creaky Blinder. Why are you saying it weird? Sounds like a bloody recorded message. Now, about this whole chopping block business, feels like I'm about to be made into a fine cheese board, doesn't it? Especially coming from a Young Earth fabricator. Sorry, pardon me, I meant creationist. Who's gallantly defending the knight of nonsense himself, Sir Kent Hovind. But hold on to your horses, because we've got a 1 hour long Russ-a-thon to dissect. Don't worry, I'm definitely not going through the whole hour of this video, I promise. So buckle up, my friends. It's time to find out if I'm the main course or just an appetizer on Russell's chopping block.
Now, Creaky Blinder kind of rose to prominence as a flat earth debunker.
Rose to prominence, eh? I kind of like the sound of that. But Russell, there is no point trying to butter me up now. You've already made the video, pal.
But like most atheists out there, eventually one of them runs along a Kent Hovind video, and then they start to, make dubious claims about what Kent Hovind talks about.
Dubious claims? No, I don't think so, mate. I have never once made any claims about Kent Hovind. In every video I've made about him, all I have done is correct him. And he does need a lot of correcting. I mean, if an idiot like me can point out the flaws in Kent's argument, then imagine what a smart person would be able to do. Anyway, let's jump ahead, because my new pal Russell spends the first 8 minutes of his video just waffling. And I know you all just want to get to the good stuff. So let's do it.
3 hours later.
Let's jump into this, and we'll listen to Creaky Blinder's video here, and yeah, you're gonna see a lot of this kind of close-up of him, okay? So just be prepared for that.
What do you mean, be prepared? You better not be implying that I do too many close-up shots in my videos. And it sounded to me like you were apologizing on behalf of my face. Bit rude, but okay. Any idiot can say something isn't real, but it takes a certain amount of intellectual honesty to explain why it isn't real.
He starts with this idea of a big bang. Talk about a big lie.
Why is it such a colossal falsehood then, Ken? Could it be because you were well aware that embracing even a fraction of the concept of evolution would completely shatter your entire belief system?
No.
No? Is that it? And I'm going to speed up my clips a little bit so we can get through as much of this video as possible. But anyway, hopefully Russell will expand on this quite shortly.
No, because the Big Bang Theory is actually being debunked right now through the Webb telescope.
Is it? Well, that's weird, because when I look up the information, the only thing I can see that the James Webb Space Telescope has done is taught us more about the Big Bang. In fact, it says this on NASA's website. By analysing new observations from NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, a team led by Simon Lilly of Zurich, Switzerland, found evidence that galaxies that existed 900 million years after the Big Bang ionized the gas around them, causing it to become transparent. They also use Webb to precisely measure the gas around the galaxies, identifying the bubbles of ionized gas have a 2 million light-year radius around the tiny galaxies. And over the next 100 million years, the bubbles grew larger and larger, eventually merging and causing the entire universe to become transparent. I can't help but notice that there seems to be an awful lot of references to millions of years and not a single mention of 6,000 years.
Number one. And number two, it's also because of just the belief that your side says, Creaky, that nothing produced everything.
Yeah, but that's the thing, mate. None of us are saying that. Now, if we look at what you believe for a second and your claim that God did it, doesn't that sound a little more like nothing creating something? You know, on account of your side not having a single piece of evidence that can prove God's existence, whereas the scientific side can back up every single claim they make with evidence. We know the Big Bang happened because we can still bloody see it in the form of cosmic background radiation.
Which goes against the first law of thermodynamics. Okay, the first law of thermodynamics states that matter and energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
So, to violate the first law of thermodynamics, the Big Bang Theory would have to posit that the net energy of the universe was different at two different times, and that the universe always been a closed system. Big Bang Theory, however, posits neither of these things. The creationist argument implicitly assumes that the Big Bang Theory stipulates a time before the origin of the universe, at which time there was no energy at all, because the universe did not exist. The argument then contrasts this with the origin of the universe, after which it presumes that there had been a positive net balance of energy, because the universe now exists. And what you're saying is that God can or could have broken the first law of thermodynamics. Seems very convenient, doesn't it?
The Big Bang Theory originally said that all of the matter in the universe squished down into a dot, and then it exploded again. And then it does that about every 80 to 100 billion years, even though they don't have any proof of this. They say it expands out, then it contracts back in, then it explodes again, then it expands out, then it contracts back in, then it explodes again. Okay?
Yeah, but where does it say that? Now, I've read a hell of a lot about the Big Bang, and I don't think I have ever heard that explanation before. So if anyone can direct me to a paper or a scientific textbook explaining what Russell just said, then I would love to read it. Because as far as I'm aware, what the Big Bang actually says is that the Big Bang is how science explains the way the universe began. It is the idea that the universe began as just a single point and then expanded and stretched to grow as large as it is right now. And it's still stretching. I don't think I've ever heard anyone describe the Big Bang as if the universe was made of shape-shifting Play-Doh, though.
We know things are moving. Okay? And we have Bible verses that says that the Lord stretches out the heaven.
Well, why didn't you say? You should have opened with that then. I mean, if it says so in the Bible, then it must be true, right? Everyone knows that there are absolutely no contradictions or misrepresentations in the Bible, don't they, Russell? And jeopardize your primary source of income. Instead, you opt to persistently proclaim the fallacy that evolution is a fabrication.
Yes.
A lie, if you will.
Yes. It is a fabrication. A lie. It's a fabrication by men because they don't want to believe in this.
But that's only because it's nothing more than an ancient storybook without a single verifiable fact in it. And if you come back with, yes, but we know the Bible is the true word of God because the Bible tells us it is, then we will all know that you, like Kent Hovind, have nothing of value to contribute to this conversation. We know we are right because we have this one single book. And that one single book beats the 130 million plus scientific textbooks in existence? Really? Is that your argument?
Could it be that you don't want to accept creation because it throws a monkey wrench in your primary source of income, Creaky?
Ooh, nice burn. But rest assured, pal, Kent Hovind is not my primary source of income. Take a look at my channel. I've got 500 videos on there and less than 20 of them are about Kent. So, yeah, nice try, but you're going to have to get up earlier than that to catch me out, mate. And that's mainly because everything I talk about on my channel is as factually accurate as I can make it. And I'm not the one going against the grain in a vain attempt to validate what I believe. And talking about 500 videos, did you see Saturday's video? My rap song? I'm a rapper now. It's very good. Take a look. It'll be linked below.
Could it be that, if you acknowledged this book, that it would throw into question everything that you believe?
Yeah, I think you might be missing the point of what belief is when it comes to atheism. It is nothing more than the absence of belief in a god or gods. So what exactly is it you think I believe? Now, if you were saying I believe that all young earth creationists are barefaced liars, I'd give you that one. But that is, again, all based on fact and evidence. The fact is that we know the age of the universe, whether you like it or not. And the evidence is abundant. Once again, whether you like it or not.
In short, the Big Bang says that all the current and past matter in the universe came into existence at the same time, 13.8 billion years ago. Really? You expect me to believe that?
No, I don't, and neither does anyone else. It's quite evident that individuals acquainted with your beliefs are well aware that you only consider something as valid if it originates directly from the Bible, and the selective approach to accepting ideas is rather concerning.
Okay. So, you're thinking that because I accept the Bible, that I'm somehow being intellectually dishonest.
Nope, not even close, pal. As I've said before, I don't care if you believe in unicorns and fairies, but what I do care about is the fact that you and Kent Hovind are just self-serving liars. Now, the intellectual dishonesty part comes into play around the topic of the Big Bang because you choose, and yes, in the case of creationists, it is a choice, but they choose to completely ignore the huge amounts of evidence that show us that the Big Bang is actually how the universe got its start. But because Genesis 1 claims that God did it, that's what they like to go with, which is what makes you all, without exception, intellectually dishonest. And that's the polite way of putting it. I'd rather call you all liars because that's exactly what you are.
And yet, your side has zero claim to know for certain that matter and energy came into existence from nothing 13.8 billion years ago.
Yeah, but the Big Bang isn't a claim. Now imagine that when science first made the discovery, then it would have been considered a claim. But that's what makes science so cool, Russell. When science makes a claim, they then go out to try and disprove that claim. And in the case of the Big Bang and all the evidence that comes along with it, we are left with two options. Option one, accept the Big Bang as a scientific fact because there is so much evidence supporting it. Or option two, completely ignore all the evidence and stick with the God did it narrative.
Plus the fact that when we viewed pictures through the Hubble, we arbitrarily assigned a number to the speed of light.
Oh, bloody hell. This guy should have called his video, How Many Times Can I Be Wrong in an Hour? There's nothing arbitrary about the figure that was calculated for the speed of light. The speed of light has been calculated, not guessed. The old Romer experiment, the Albert A. Michelson experiment are a couple that spring to mind, even though I'm fairly sure I probably butchered their names. But anyway, today, the speed of light in a vacuum is precisely defined as 299,792,458 meters per second. And this definition was adopted by the International Committee for Weights and Measures in 1983 and is based, and this is the good part, Russ, on highly accurate measurements, not guesswork, measurements involving lasers and atomic clocks. So, sorry pal, but you're wrong again. I know I couldn't believe it either.
And then called that a light year because we thought, well, if we can see from our own sun that this is how far light travels and this is how fast the light travels, then we'll just arbitrarily say that this is what light does.
Did you even try to check any of this information? And don't worry, that was rhetorical. Do a bit of reading before you try to debunk anything, pal. You're making a fool of yourself, and it's clear for us to see that Hovind is like some sort of cult hero to you. But why on earth would you want anyone to be as wrong as Kent is as often as he is? I just don't get it.
You're gonna call me intellectually dishonest for believing in a book that has mountains of evidence that you're ignoring willfully, Creaky. You're willfully ignoring these. And you want me to believe, you want me to not believe in this book that has mountains of evidence.
Well, I didn't set out to call you intellectually dishonest, but what choice do I have when you publish a video about little old me, where so far everything you've said is wrong, either due to a lack of understanding of how the universe actually works, which is easily forgivable because not everybody knows everything about everything. But if it's because you're so gullible you believe what people like Kent Hovind say, it's inexcusable. And what evidence? You cite one piece of evidence that verifies anything in the Bible, and I will never make another video about creationism again. Oh yeah, and by the way, Russell, the evidence cannot come from the Bible. As I said in my last video, saying that the Bible is factually accurate because it says so in the Bible is the epitome of stupid and nothing more than a circular argument anyway.
Because your science, exclamation point trademarked, is somehow better?
At providing scientific information, yeah, of course, it is, and only a moron would claim otherwise.
Even though it's been proven a lie and false. And yet this has been proven true.
Science has been proven false. All 130 million plus science books, or just the ones that cast doubt on what you claim to believe about the origin of the universe? And what exactly has proven the Bible to be true? It's the Bible, isn't it? It is. I know it is. On my first rodeo.
Yeah, I don't think so, buddy. I think I'd rather believe this.
And there it is, the reason creationists are as dumb as they are. They would rather believe an ancient text written in a long forgotten language and then badly translated into English thousands of years later than believe anything written in a scientific textbook after being peer-reviewed by other experts in their respective fields. Now, Russ, that statement alone exposes you as someone who is only too happy to lie in order to maintain their narrative. So, yeah, what was it you were saying earlier about intellectual dishonesty? Take a look in the mirror. Especially coming from someone who professes to be a scientist.
Let
me stop it right there for a second. I'm not professing to be a scientist. Neither is Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind is professing to be a science teacher.
How exactly can you be a science teacher if you're not a scientist? Did you learn to drive from a guy who'd never been behind the wheel of a car? Creationists must have some sort of malfunction in the part of their brains that requires them to think before they open their mouth. That's probably one of the stupidest things I have ever heard anyone say. And I've heard a lot of stupid things. In fact, I've said a lot of stupid things. But that's not the point.
I.e., he learned about science and taught it to kids in Christian schools.
You do realize that makes no sense at all, don't you? Just thought I would check. So what you're saying is that in America, in order to be a science teacher, you just have to say that you like science. That explains a lot, actually. Anyway, what's your next point, Russ?
I can profess to be a scientist. I don't, but I can profess to be a scientist. Anyone can profess to be a scientist. Okay? It's what degree do you have and what level of intellectual honesty do you have?
Well, there you go then, so I am right, because Kent does not have a degree. He's got an honorary doctorate and pieces of paper from a diploma mill in the desert.
Okay? Because, Creaky, you could profess to be a scientist. I'm not saying you are, but you could profess to be a scientist.
And you're right, Russ. I could, but I don't because I'm not. Which is what makes me honest and you, Kent Hovind, and others like you, liars. And I know you just said you don't profess to be a scientist, but Kent Hovind does, even though he's completely clueless. In fact, I go out of my way to make sure that people who watch me understand that I'm not a scientist. I do love science, and everything I've come to understand is only because I chose to study it for my own enjoyment. Both you and Kent know that his qualifications mean zip in the real world, and with good reason.
Even though you know less about the theory that you're espousing than Kent is proving here. Because honestly, in this first minute and 23 seconds, he hasn't brought up anything that debunks Kent's points other than just saying, well, Kent's lying. That's not a debunk. That's your opinion.
Since when is providing accurate information based on the scientific consensus being considered to be lying? Now, if you had said that I must be lying because you don't like what I'm saying, then I would give it to you. But once again, I find myself compelled to say, just because you disagree with what I'm saying in my videos, that doesn't mean that what I say is any less valid. Let me say it for you again in the most basic way I can think of. You, Russell, Kent Hovind, and every other person on Earth who believes that the universe was magically brought into existence by God 6,000 years ago is one of two things: ignorant or a liar, or maybe both.
Matter in the universe just poofed into existence.
Ah, yes, here we go. Circling back to the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. An intriguing narrative, Ken. However, let's not forget that it remains nothing more than a captivating tale. Now, if I may inquire, how exactly did God orchestrate the creation of the heavens and the earth? The specifics seem rather elusive, don't they? Was it akin to casting a magic spell? You know, Harry Potter style? Or was God physically present on earth?
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there, because we're going to need to read the Genesis account, because it's clear to me that when these people try to read or try to debunk the Bible, it's clear they have no clue what the Bible actually says.
Yeah, whatever. Now, I've read the Bible multiple times, and I know you wouldn't know this, Russell, but I was raised Roman Catholic, and I went to Catholic school. But the second you reached for that Bible, you've proved my point for me. Now, there's a hell of a lot more to this video, and there's a part 2 we uploaded just a few hours ago. But based on everything we've heard here today, there is no way I am losing 2.5 hours of my life that I will never get back listening to a guy repeat everything he's heard every other creationist say. Especially when we consider the fact that we haven't even looked beyond the first 3 minutes of my original video. But Russell has done a lot more damage to the creationist argument in the first 15 minutes of his video than I could ever do. Just that opening statement alone. Kent Hovind doesn't claim to be a scientist, just a science teacher. Brilliant. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Oh, and talking about watching, and I know I've already mentioned it, but did you see my rapping debut on Saturday? If you haven't seen it, then give it a watch. It was a hell of a lot of work, and I'm lazy. Or if you don't want to watch the video, you can head over to the music streaming platform of your choice and listen to it there. Just search Creaky Blinder. It's everywhere. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Love you, bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe by order of the Creaky Blinder.